If you have any slings, rigging equipment, or lift devices in your facility, and you're only inspecting them once a year, I'm going to teach you why you may be out of compliance. Hi, my name is Brian Holmgren. I am the Regional Rigging Inspection Manager for Mazzella Companies. I've been doing this for about 20 years now. Before we can talk about inspection frequency, we need to talk about which standards are applicable in your industry. OSHA has a standard, OSHA 1910.184, that only talks about alloy chain slings. So you need to actually go to the ASME standards and look at B30.9 for slings, B3026 for rigging hardware, B3010 for hooks, and B3020 for lift devices. So once you establish which standards apply to your industry, you need to determine frequency of inspection. So you would have your initial use inspection, where anytime you purchase a new item, you would perform an inspection on that item. It's just a visual, non-documented. Then you would have frequent inspections, which need to be performed every shift by each operator. So each operator needs to be trained to perform that inspection. And you have periodic inspections, which are required to be documented, minimum every 12 months, but could be as much as every month to quarterly, depending on severity of service conditions, frequency of use, nature of load handling, and experience gained on other slings used in similar circumstances. When we're talking about who can perform these inspections, you have your initial and you have your frequent inspections. Each one of your end users shall be trained to be able to perform those inspections, to perform a visual. So training is key there. When you're talking about your periodic inspections of slings require somebody that's either designated or competent to look at those slings. It is required to be documented. When you're talking about lift devices, you're talking about a qualified individual that has to look at those items. ASME defines qualified person as a person of recognized degree or certificate of professional standing, or by extensive knowledge, training, and experience. When we're referring to periodic documented inspections, one of the misconceptions we see is everyone thinks that they can perform inspections once a year. OSHA defines inspections not to exceed 12 months, but you have to actually go to the ASME standards to determine inspection frequency. If you're inspecting slings once a year, but we're walking into a facility to do the periodic and we're finding that the service conditions are extremely severe, we're pulling many slings out of service, nature of lifts are pretty dangerous, your frequency of use could be 20, 30 times a day or 20, 30 times a shift, you really need to be doing more periodic inspections to meet the ASME and OSHA standards. People think that anyone can perform these inspections. OSHA clearly defines a person inspecting slings and rigging hardware as competent. ASME defines anyone performing inspections on slings and rigging as designated. When we're talking about lift devices, we're talking about a qualified individual. So you're talking about somebody with a degree or professional standing or extensive knowledge that has to inspect those items. We perform over 1,000 inspections every year. Each one of our inspectors looks at over 50,000 pieces of equipment every year. Our guys are qualified to look at these items. They have extensive training. We know all the OSHA standards, the ASME standards, the manufacturer standards. Another reason you want to hire a third-party inspector to come and perform these inspections is just the effort you would have to put forth to learn all the standards, all the ASME, the OSHA, the manufacturing standards. And one last reason is loss of production, which we know affects bottom dollar. You're going to have to pull guys away from production to do inspections as opposed to their normal job. Whereas if you were to hire a third-party inspector to come and perform these inspections, we would come in, perform the inspection, leave you with all the proper documentation, give you proper notice on the next periodic inspection when it's due. And typically after the first inspection, we no longer need any guide or assistance from the facility itself. We know where everything's at. We basically can find everything on our own. Hopefully this video has helped you to understand periodic inspections and frequencies. If you have any questions, go ahead and contact us through our website or feel free to give us a call. Thank you for watching.